So our next step in the budgeting process is probably our most longest process, and is we're going to try and get a budget going for all our various selling, general, administrative expenses. When you start looking at the list is fairly long. Our list probably has 20 different items on it, and it takes a while to develop your budget for all these items. And notice there's a lot of items, your postage expense, printing expense, repair and maintenance expense, and then your salaries, supplies expense. So you can see that the list is pretty inclusive of all items that you need for your average business. And just remember, some businesses are not going to use as large of a list as this, and other businesses will use a very extensive, longer list for your budget. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with our very first one is advertising expense. We want to break down advertising expense, and we want to see how much do you think we're going to need to spend on advertising for our restaurant business. So what comes to mind first is we think we're going to enter a food show for the year, and we think that's going to cost us $500. So we're going to say $500 for the food show. The next thing we want to do is we want to do some advertising in our local newspaper. So we're going to put newspaper, and we're going to think that might cost our company $3,500. The next thing we want to do some search engine optimization on our website. And we think that might cost us $500. And then we might do some other miscellaneous advertising. And we think we're going to spend maybe $500 on that. So we think this is a pretty inclusive list. So when we look at it, we add these four numbers up, we get $5,000. So we think for the next year we're going to spend $5,000 on advertising expense. So our next step, what we want to do, we want to go to our main budget. We want to key in $5,000. And this is the kind of procedure what we would like to do for all these items. We need to break down what our bank charges are going to be and all the various items that make up our total bank credit card charges. So we're going to do that for every item on our selling, general, administrative expenses to come up with a very conclusive and total good budget for our restaurant. So the next thing that we want to do is we're going to start looking at the next item, which will be the bank credit card charges.